Okay, so got that all done. This guy fully installed. I put some flange sealant underneath here so that that connection between the two pieces is solid. And then here I got this whole kit installed. So there's a gasket behind it, put flange sealant on both sides, and then you have the rope seal in the middle going around the crank. So basically I pressed the rope seals in on both sides of these, one piece here and one here. Just like a half on the bottom, a half on the top. And then I put them there and checked if I can get pretty close, so at least I can get the bolts started, because the rope seal has to stick out a bit. So when you press it together, it actually seals. So then I took it off again and I washed the surface back here nicely with brake clean so that we have no grease in there. And then I fitted up the gasket, and you can slide it over here carefully. Fitted that on there with some sticky stuff already. I'm using this flange sealant. And so I stuck that gasket on there. Then I put the top piece on, and it kind of sits on there. And the bottom one, I held it up, and it kind of sticks to the gasket. And I put the first bolt through here and here. And you want to make them just enough to hold it. You don't want them tight yet. And then you align it all. And these small bolts that go in here, there's a total of 6 of them. You can't start them until you start clamping these together. So you want to evenly clamp these two guys, crank them together so that there's only a little bit of space between those two plates left. And then I started all these bolts. Now, one thing that I found is before you do that, get that top bolt and the bottom bolt into the housing before you slide it down there, because you will not line that bolt in here through this plate here. This is just the crank end here is in the way. So put the top and the bottom bolt in just enough so they're not sticking out on the cover, and then you can slide them down. And don't worry about aligning them until these 4 on the side are aligned, because then the top and the bottom will basically naturally want to align. So yeah, got those lined in there. Then I started these 4 here, cranked this a bit more to get them aligned, moved it around a bit. So once they're all started, get them in a couple threads, and then crank these together a bit more. And you kind of want to go around, slowly give a little bit of a turn on each bolt all the time. And it's important that their plates are pretty much together, at least touching, before you start tightening this up. So once I lined all of the 6 little bolts up and got them snug against the block, then I cranked these tight. And then I snugged everything up, and I went around several times. This is aluminum, so you don't want to overdo it on one end first. Just go all around nicely, suck it there, get it tightened up nice. And I'm watching videos from another guy, and he mentioned that if you go somewhere 30 foot-pounds or so, it's all the torque you need on these. But you want to slowly go around and give them a couple retightenings, because you don't want that to come loose when you're driving your tractor. So got these pretty tight, and then all these 6 around. Cleaned up, and now I put the 1 1/8 socket on my cranky. I just put that bolt back in, and then I just make sure that I can actually turn it, because you want to make sure that it's not like too tight. Of course, it's not going to be very light, because everything is like snug in there already now, but it's turning, so that's good. Okay, we'll be back in the next video.